Hello, hello, hello. I appreciate all you guys being here. Thank you so much. I noticed that this is a little bit dark here. So let me turn this up here. Uh, there we go. That's a little bit brighter. Hi. I appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And hope we're going to have a good time. It's Friday, folks. And you know what? That means thank God. It is Friday. It's Friday, 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 Friday. And I appreciate you guys being here. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you're just brand new, um, especially on TikTok or anybody, we of course we ask everybody just be kind. It seems like it's sad that you have to say that these days, but you do. Be kind to one another. Don't troll. Don't be hateful. Don't be nasty. Don't be mean. We ask also, please, no demonic names. No demonic names in the chat box because there's no reason to. There's no reason to mention demonic names. That is a form of summoning, and we don't go there. So we don't do that. And I ask that you please don't do it here. And just simply don't troll, don't spam. It's sad that we have to do this. We have to say it, but we do. That's just well. Thank you very much, Aquaman, and you're my favorite Aquaman 1227. He said, just to let you know, you're my favorite bishop. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, well, so I appreciate everybody being here. We're going to have a very, very good show. I'm looking forward to it. So there we go. Right. All right. I want to remind you also that today is paranormal. Okay. And Wednesdays and Sundays, we do our Bible study. We do that's plenty. Wednesdays and Sundays, we go live. We do Bible studies. I take your questions on theology. And I'm very strict on Wednesdays and Sundays. We don't entertain paranormal questions on Wednesdays and Sundays. So Mondays and Fridays we do. And so today is strictly, we're going to have a good time Monday with Mondays and Fridays, the paranormal. Okay, there we go. So that's hopefully that'll help you. I appreciate you being here. Oh, I do. I do believe that it's very important that paranormal shows teach about demons. That's a good question. I do. I absolutely believe it's important. You know, there's a lot of people who there's good and bad arguments for the paranormal shows. But one thing there's a couple things that I really like. I've been on a lot of them. Ghost Adventures and National Geographic, History Channel, A&E, Travel. I mean, I've done all that, but there's good and bad. But I will tell you that I do appreciate the paranormal shows because it gives people a voice. It lets people know that you're not alone. It lets people know that there are a lot of people that are suffering or struggling with paranormal activity in their homes, and they're truly frightened. Before the shows came out, people didn't talk about it, and I know. I was in the paranormal community before all the shows started. I was there, and it was very hush hush. So when someone called you and said, "Look, I need help, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, be." Of course, social media wasn't then. I mean, it was Yahoo groups. That's how we communicated in the paranormal community. Facebook wasn't existed. MySpace and YouTube, none of that stuff existed. It was Yahoo groups. That's how we talked to one another. And people would contact us and say, hey, I'm having this issue at home, but I want to keep it quiet. I don't want to talk about it publicly or any of that stuff. But now that the shows have come out, I got to be honest with you. It's good because it lets people know that there are other people who are struggling with what you are struggling with. And I think that's very, very important. Let me, I am here and I appreciate all of you being here. Let me make this very clear for everybody, because there's a lot of people who like to come on and judge and, oh, you're a Ghostbuster and all this other stuff. So let me just make this very clear, crystal clear, so that no one can miss it. First of all, I love the paranormal, and I'm not going to apologize to anybody for it. I've always been fascinated with the paranormal. But understand something, and please make note of this. Paranormal team, or if you're a paranormal team, if you're a paranormal investigator, I have said this now for 20 years. And I'm glad it's finally some people are using it as well. Because prior to it, people would put demonology in with the paranormal, and it would always drive me crazy. So I said 20 years ago, and I've said it today, demonology is not paranormal. Demonology is theological. And if you don't understand that, then you have no business being in the field of demonology. None. When you're talking about paranormal, you're the werewolves and vampires and elementals, perhaps, and ghouls and okay, monsters and Mothman and Goat Man and Cheese Man and Hamburger Man. I don't know, whatever man. Okay, that's cool. We all that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. If you enjoy, there's nothing wrong with that. But demonology is not paranormal. You cannot remove theology from demonology. You simply can't do it. It's not possible. It would be like removing medicine from studying on how to become a doctor. It's not possible. So what I do and what I've always done for 20 years, this is what I've always done. Actually, more than 20 years now. When someone calls me and they say, Bishop, I have a problem in my home, and I am scared. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm hearing growls or things being thrown off the wall or loud bangings on the wall. I don't know what's going on. And they're afraid. They're legitimately afraid. What I tried to do is I try to get a team, a paranormal investigating team out there to investigate, to determine if what is being reported to us is valid. We also tried to debunk, because I can't be in every place at once. I just can't, obviously. So the teams that I work with, I love dearly. These are people, let me tell you something, and I'm going to make this very, very clear, very clear. I find it offensive as clergy, and I want to make this abundantly clear. I find it very offensive that any clergy, any pastor, anybody who likes to attack the paranormal teams and call them, they're devil worshipers and they're disgusting people and they're this and they're that and they're stupid and they're foolish and they're, you know what? When people say that, it irritates me, because those people who are casting stones at the paranormal investigators, they're not the ones answering the phone calls at 2:00 in the morning. Oh, are they? They're not the ones packing up their entire team, all the equipment, traveling hours and hours to somebody's home that they don't even know. They don't owe them anything. These paranormal investigators don't owe these homeowners a darn thing, but they are willing to travel all the way to these people's homes to try to investigate, to explain, to debunk. That's the goal, to try to debunk the activity. Explain what's going on. And then when they can't explain, then they get clergy involved. That is a ministry. Now, there are paranormal teams that go out there and immediately, as soon as they walk into a home, it's a demon, it's a demon, it's a demon. They've had no theology training. They've never studied demonology. They've never studied angelology. And then all of a sudden, now they're an expert in demonology. And then they scare the hell out of the homeowners. Really, that's what's happening. These people who are not skilled, they're not seasoned investigators. Everything is a demon. Someone passes a gas and it's a demon. Everything is a demon. And now they're scaring these homeowners. And now the homeowners because they look at these investigators as professionals and or experts in that field. And immediately, it's a demon, it's going to kill your children. I literally have had paranormal teams go into a single mom's home who was legitimately frightened for her children because her small children were seeing things and they were waking up crying and screaming. And these paranormal teams would walk in and then say, Oh, it's a demon and it wants to kill your children. Well, okay, Einstein, thanks for doing that. Now, how are you going to fix it? Now you just scared this poor single mom even more by telling her that the demon wants to hurt her children. And now well, thank you very much for letting us investigate your home. And now it's on YouTube or other social media so you can get clicks. And there's never a resolution. I don't work with those teams. I want nothing to do with those teams. And to be honest with you, anybody who is a seasoned investigator in the paranormal community wants nothing to do with them either, because they are exactly what is wrong with the paranormal community. People running in, immediately screaming demon, have no training in demonology whatsoever, scaring these people and giving them no resolution whatsoever. That's an abomination. I've always tell people, if you're going to work with me, you need to be pastoral. You have to be pastoral. If you're not going to be pastoral, then I can't work with you. So you got to understand this is a ministry. And so I think that paranormal investigators who are doing it for the right reasons, they don't charge. They go to these people and they invest a lot of money. Look, some of this equipment is not cheap. Some of the equipment that you use, that the investigators use, it's big bucks. It's not just $20, $30. But they try to go in to document the evidence. The more evidence that they can document and then present to the church, that helps us. That helps clergy determine, okay, well, this is where we need to go. This is how we're going to help this family. So if you're a paranormal investigator, if you have a paranormal team, and if you are the ones that are answering the calls at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, if you are the ones trying to calm the homeowners down, people down, it's going to be okay. We're going to come out there. We're going to help you. We're not going to charge one dime. We're going, and as much money as gas is, you need to get a personal loan just to be able to travel these days, just for fuel. But they still never charge. We're going to come to your home. We're going to leave our families behind and give you our time and our experience. And we're going to try to explain what's happening in your home. And then, if it's demonic or malevolent, we'll get clergy involved. If you're that type of team, God love you. Yeah, I'm telling you, and don't let anybody, I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. Don't let anybody convince you that you are doing the work of evil. Don't let anybody, because those people are not the ones answering the calls. They're the sideline, boo people. They're the sideline people that are sitting on their rear ends. They're not answering the calls. They're not trying to help families, but they're too busy criticizing the people who do. That's evil. And do not allow those type of people to steal your joy and steal your happiness. Don't do it. Don't allow it. Don't allow it. Stay focused. Stay true to your mission, to helping families, and do not listen to the outside noise, because while they are out there trying to throw stones at you, you are being abundantly blessed by God. And I am absolutely convinced that God is smiling upon you and your team because you're doing the work of God. And if anybody can't understand that, then they don't understand theology. They don't understand ministry, because that is what you're doing, ministry. Okay, for those of you who are just joining us, hi, I am on my soapbox. I am Bishop James Long with the United States Old Catholic Church. I serve as the exorcist for the church, and I appreciate all of you being here today. I want to remind everybody to do yourself a great big favor, folks. I'm telling you, do yourself a favor. You need to make sure that you go to this website, okay? You going off? There you're gonna give it and see. Oh, he would fake it. Oh my goodness, Maria, who is that? Oh, yeah, faking evidence is just terrible. Faking evidence, it just drives me crazy. For those of you who do not know this website, let me introduce it to you. It is kgradb.com. All right, everybody, I'm going to say it again. For those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, it's there on your screen. kgradb.com. If you're a moderator, If you're a moderator, can you put that in there? I'll talk about Zach, and Zach and I are friends. I did the Ghost Adventures, and I do speak to Zach. So, but I'm not going to talk about a whole lot about his personal issues. But Kate, thank you very much, Audrum. Thank you. KGRADB.com. Okay. And I want you to do yourself a favor. Make sure you go to the website and subscribe. There are amazing shows there. I'm telling you, these are phenomenal shows. Yes, the Sacred Division, I am on there as well, and I'm so happy to be there. They produce the show, and make sure you put Bishop. It's very inexpensive, but you're going to get 30% off. 30%. If you put Bishop in the promo code. Do it. Take advantage of it. So I strongly encourage you. I'll get to your questions in just a second. I strongly encourage you, please, KGRADB.com. Subscribe, and then put Bishop as your promo code to get 30% off. Really, because there have been times, I got some free time on my hand, which is pretty rare. But and so what I'll do is I'll go on the website and I'll look at some shows that I missed or I wanted to catch up on, and there are some quality shows. Okay, promo code Bishop. Thank you, Jax, and that is Catholicism 2 friendly. I don't understand. I don't know Catholicism 2022 friendly, so I'm not really for sure. And thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. Also, don't forget. Yep. Go to bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong, LONG.com. That's my website. If you want to know more about me, well, go there. bishopjameslong.com. I do still have our Benedictine necklaces, and here they are. I'm sorry, these are St. Michael necklaces. All right, so there's your St. Michael necklace. Can't really see it, but there. I do have it on the website. If you want to click on the store link, when you go to bishopjameslong.com, and you can click on the store link. I will bless yours before I send it out. No, you're not buying a blessed item. That's simony. You're buying an item, and I'm blessing it as a courtesy. I do have Benedictine necklaces as well. So here is your Benedictine necklace. Saint Benedict is the patron saint for exorcists. And actually, I really like them because they're not so huge and gigantic and bulky. So I do have those as well on the website too. So again, Bishop James Long, LONG.com, and click on the store link. All right. And that is where you go. The reason is I do have a store is because, for those of you who don't know, I don't charge. I've never charged for 20 years. And when you travel to a lot of people's homes, it's very expensive. When you rent a car, you have to stay at a hotel. Sometimes I could stay up there to a week. About $100 a night plus tax. That's $700 plus tax just on the hotel alone. The car is $400 or $500. So easily, you could be spending $1,500 to $2,000. I mean, it's very easily. So it's expensive to travel to someone's home and never charge. So I try to raise funds. I might raise about $200 a month. But it's better than nothing, I guess. I also, before I go into your questions and then what we have for tonight, I do ask that you please pray for Becky. Becky is a friend of mine, and she also has a paranormal team. There has been a case that's been to the attention to the church, and Becky and her team are going, I think, this evening to investigate this particular case to find out what's going on, and then we are going to determine what needs to be done after the investigation is over. So I certainly would appreciate if you could keep her and her team in your thoughts and prayers. It is serious. It's a serious. This type of ministry is quite dangerous. So, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, let's normally what I do is I present a topic that I really like to, and then for the first hour, I always like to do that, and then I can open up with questions on the top of the hour. We can kind of do, it's not written in stone that we have to do that, but I do like to kind of split it up. And that's what I like to do. Tonight, I advertised that I wanted to present some true horror stories that was in the news. And I thought it'd be good to present that, and then I'll get into your questions. So just hold on to your questions, everybody. Just hang out with us for a couple of hours. We'll be off air by 8:55 p.m. Eastern. But for the first hour, I really want to talk about some of these real, true horror stories that was in the news, and then we'll get your questions. Okay? Well, I promise you, I'll get to your questions. I'll talk about the Demon House. I'll talk about Zach. I'll talk about. I get it. I'll get there, folks. But let's do this first. All right. Yeah, I have. People are asking me about TikTok. Of course, the England. I can't really do a whole lot, about that. I wish I could. I can't fly to England. I can't even. It's difficult to get to a state, let alone. I wish I could. But I have contacted several people who have been on TikTok, and I've let them know that I'm willing to help. So I've done what I can do, and if they reach out and want the assistance, then we'll go from there. All right. So anyway, let's get into some of these stories, and then on the top of the hour, I'll get to your questions. We'll get to all your paranormal, all your demonology questions, all your Zach questions. I promise you. I promise you. No, the items are not blessed. That would be simony. So that is a big no-no. So you cannot sell religious titles or objects or things of this nature. That's simony. So what you're buying is an item that is not blessed. But I do bless that for you as a courtesy. So because a lot of people don't have a pastor that would be willing to bless the items. So I do that for you. And I don't have to. I can just send the item to you without it being blessed. I just do that to help people. Okay, let's talk about 10 terrifying but true horror stories that it's actually reported in the news. This is from Esquire. So listen to this. You probably know some of these stories. The Axe Murder House. Let's talk about this. For those of you who don't know a whole lot about this, the Vasilla Axe, which I've never been there. I'd really like to go there. Axe Murder House in Vasilla, I can't ever say that word, Iowa, is a well-known tourist attraction for ghost hunters and horror lovers alike. Now, the site of a gruesome, unsolved 1912 murder in which 6 children and 2 adults had their skulls completely crushed by the axe of an unknown perpetrator. This was purchased. It was purchased in 1994, restored to its 1912 condition, converted into a tourist destination. Now it's interesting. It costs $428 a night to stay at the old haunted home, where visitors always report strange paranormal experiences, such as visions of a man with an axe roaming the halls or faint screams of children. Now, in November of 2014, the haunting took a darker turn. Robert Stephen Larson, who was 37 years old, of Wisconsin, was on a regular recreational paranormal visit with friends when true horror struck. Now, this is per Vice. His companions found him stabbed in the chest, an apparently self-inflicted wound. Called 911, and Larson was brought to a nearby hospital before being helicoptered to Creighton University Medical Center in Omaha. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said Larson suffered a self-inflicted injury at about 12:45 a.m., which is around the same time the 1912 axe murders in the house began. So Larson recovered from his injuries, but has never spoke publicly about what occurred that day. For Martha Lynn, the owner of the home, the incident was very upsetting. Quote, "It's publicity, but it's not exactly the kind of publicity you desire to have." I don't want people thinking that when they come to Vasilla Axe Murder House, something's going to happen that's going to make them do something like that. The house remains open for tourists, visits, and overnight stays, even to this day. Now, I've never been there. I've never been, but you know what I would do? And if anyone knows the owner of the Vasilla Axe House, why don't you tell them, hey, Bishop Long would love to come to the Vasilla Axe Murder House and do a live show right there on the spot. I would love to stay the night there. I would do a live show. I would do the Sacred Division right there. So if anybody knows the owner, reach out to him and tell him, hey, get in touch with Bishop Long. I would love to. That would be fascinating. But I don't know the owner. I've never been to the house. So if you know the owner, contact them and tell them to contact me on Facebook. Facebook.com/Bishop James Long. People keep sending me the wrong folks. That's why I keep telling the people the URL. Facebook.com/Bishop James Long. It's the only Facebook with the cartoon looking thing that they came out with. That's the only Facebook profile. Okay. Go to that one. Send me a message, and there we are. I am still planning on doing a live show at the Bel Air House. I am still planning this. I really want to do it when it gets to the fall because it gets kind of hot. Right now, it's just too hot. But I want to do this. The Bel Air House in Bel Air, Ohio, it's a very haunted location. It's been on A Haunting, the television show. The owner, Kristen, has told me that I can do a live show there on just let her know. So we are going to be doing this. I just want to do it in the fall. I don't want to do it right now. It's just too hot. Johnny Hauser is the owner. I don't know Johnny, but if you guys know Johnny, if you know Johnny, tell Johnny, hey, please contact Bishop Long. I'm serious. I will go there. I would absolutely set this up. Yep. Oh, really? Frank? Well, Frank just said, I will rent out location and you can join us. Frank, consider it done. Let's do a Friday. Let's do a Friday show. And I will bring all the equipment, everything that I need to do a live show at the Vasilla Axe Murder House. So let's set it up. Let's get her done. And I think that would be, I'm there. I would absolutely love to do it. I think, why not? That would be fun to do. And we would be on scene at one of the most haunted locations, period. Yes, I have been to the Myrtles Inn Plantation. I would love to go back there. Oh yeah. Daniel, really? First weekend of December. Okay. Well, Frank just said the first weekend of December. All right. Well, then there we go. I think that's what we're going to do. I don't think. Yeah, that's in Iowa. Yeah, you have to be careful about the Iowa because Iowa has sometimes crazy winters. Yeah, well, I think that should work. Now, I people have been asking me all the time about what we filmed in California. Again, I'm not allowed to release that, but we do believe that we might be able to speak about it soon. You guys are going to love it. I'm telling you, when I tell you what we've done, it is nothing has ever been done like it. So it is phenomenal. I mean, I am very excited to tell you about it. I wish I could tell you now, but I can't. But as soon as they give us the green light, as soon as they tell us that we can start advertising, believe me, folks, you'll be the first to know. I promise you. It is going to be very exciting. Very, very exciting. Oh, Ert Radio said first week in December, I will be in 3 feet of snow. I'm jealous. Also cabin on 360, November the 5th. Frank, I don't know what is that cabin on 360. I'm not for sure about that. I don't know what that is. But I'm there. I'm there with you. I am so there. We're going to go to the Vasilla Axe Murder House in December. But remember, it has to on the Friday. I don't know if you're going on Friday, so we'll have to see. Okay. The haunted doll. Listen to this story, everybody. Again, I'll get to your questions. I'm not ignoring you. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. I will get to your questions. So a lot of people are slamming me with questions on Messenger and on TikTok. Folks, just be patient. Just let's go through some of these stories, and then I'll get to your questions. I promise. This is the true story. The haunted doll. When you think of haunted dolls, it's likely the creepy old Victorian-looking porcelain kind that springs to mind. None of which you probably have maybe lying around. Still, don't get too comfortable around any kids' toys too soon. Listen to this. A Disney Frozen Elsa, the movie, the Frozen Elsa doll. It was gifted for Christmas in 2013 in the Houston area. It made headlines when it seemingly became haunted. So this is from KPRC2 Houston News. Listen, the doll recited phrases from the movie Frozen and sang, "Let it go," when a button on its necklace was pressed. Okay, so what? For 2 years, it did that in English. Mother Emily Madonna said in 2015, it started doing it and alternating between Spanish and English. There wasn't a button that changed these. It was just random. The family has owned the doll for more than 6 years and never changed its batteries. The mother said the doll would randomly begin to speak and even sing, even when its switch was turned off. So the family decided to throw the creepy doll out. Don't do that. Don't do it. Folks, listen to me. If you have a haunted object, do not throw it away. Don't. If you've purchased something and things have, you're having some issues, you contact me. Send it to me. I will take care of it. I bless it. I put it in my storage facility. I teach people about haunted objects. Do not throw it away. There was a family that I can't go into that story, but there was a Teddy Ruxpin. I think it's a Teddy Ruxpin little doll. And a father bought it for his little child, and in the middle of the night, he kept hearing this doll talking. And he didn't really think, it woke him up, and he really didn't think about it. He's like, well, I don't know why I think it was a little girl. I don't know why she's playing with the doll right now. It's, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And he was falling back to sleep, and then he jumped out of the bed. And I mean, he jumped out of bed. And he ran to her room. Now, she was asleep. He grabbed this doll. And the reason he was freaked out is because he remembered that he had not put the batteries in that doll. So it really scared them. And they said, no, they don't want it. So they actually sent it to me. This was interesting. I was actually on TikTok, and I was doing a live, and I was talking about, so those of you who've been following me for a while, you may remember this. I was doing a live, and I was talking about this doll, and I was showing there's no batteries. And I was turning around saying, this is what it was doing. And then it started laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Play with me. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm telling you, there were no batteries. No batteries. And I even did it on TikTok. So yeah, you guys remember that. Yeah, see, and I did. I showed, this is the battery. There's nothing in here. You saw, and then turn it around and it started talking again. Yeah, a lot of people on TikTok are saying, yep, they remember that. It was, these things are legitimate. There was a family that bought two John Wayne Gacy paintings. They just like collecting, strange things like this. And they didn't think of, these are original John Wayne paintings, John Wayne Gacy paintings. For those of you, John Wayne Gacy was a serial killer, and he killed young men and did terrible things. He dressed up as a clown for children, and but he did terrible things and buried these people under his house in the crawl space. And but anyway, they collected odd things like this, and they liked the paranormal, but they didn't really think too much about it. And they purchased it and they brought it home, and I mean, really violent things began occurring in their home. And they no. So they actually sent it. So I have in my possession original John Wayne Gacy paintings. I'm going to let everybody know this is the only conference that I'm scheduled for this year, the Paranormal Conference. If you want to see those paintings live, I will be bringing them with me, along with a particular doll that I've talked about before. I've talked about this doll before. It was a Louisville Mid-South. People saw it caught my laptop on fire. So the firefighter, actually, a whole room of people witnessed this. But I will be bringing that, and I will be bringing several haunted items with me. I will not take them out of the case, so please don't ask. But if you want to see them, I'm going to be bringing several items for you. And I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. I don't. First of all, I don't get paid for doing this. I don't get paid for this. I don't get paid going to conferences and all this other stuff. They don't. So the Upstate, and that's fine because they're doing it for fundraising. So it's called Upstate Spirit Conference. That's the name of it. Upstate Spirit Conference. And it's going to be in Abbeville, South Carolina. All right. So that is what, if you want to go, it's going to be October 7th through the 9th. And it's going to be taking place at the Belmont Inn, but it's in Abbeville, South Carolina. Again, it's called Upstate Spirit Conference. They're going to have some great speakers there. I'm really looking forward to it. And October 7th through the 9th. And so come on over. I'll be doing a presentation on demonology. So I'll be teaching on that on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And you can stop by and say howdy to me. I'd love to meet you. But again, if you want to Google Upstate Spirit Conference, October 7th through the 9th. And that is what I will be at the Belmont Inn. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Michelle. I appreciate you putting that in there. So I'll be there, and hopefully, if you can, please be there as well. That would be pretty cool. So, by the way, I was saying that the family, they decided to throw this creepy doll out in December of 2019. Weeks later, they found it inside a bench in their living room. Quote, these kids insisted they didn't put it there, and I believe them because they wouldn't have dug through the garbage outside, Madonia told KPRC2 Houston News. At that point, Elsa ceased. She stopped to sing the English rendition of Let It Go altogether, speaking only Spanish when pressed. The family then double-bagged the bizarre doll and placed it at the bottom of their garbage, which was taken out in the garbage day. They went on a trip shortly after. But when they returned, Elsa, too, decided to come back. It was waiting in the backyard of their home. This time, the family mailed Elsa to a family friend in Minnesota who taped the haunted doll to the front bumper of his truck. It doesn't seem to have made its way to Houston yet, as per Madonia's latest February Facebook update on this creepy doll. That's crazy. That is crazy. So, again, this stuff does exist. I mean, it really. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you guys being here. I really do. I'm in Kentucky, and I am still an exorcist for the church. So I still, if need be, I will perform the solemn rite of exorcism. But so just hold on, folks. I can't know how many times I said. Just hang tight with the questions. Hang tight. Let me get through this, because the first hour I want to talk about this, and then we'll get into your questions. I promise you. It's hard to do 2 hours of question answer. That's a lot. That is a lot. So I try to break it up so that I can give everybody a respectful, detailed answer as much as I can. Otherwise, it's just lickety split, and I don't want to do that. Okay. So here, listen to this one. This is a true story. A deadly exorcism. This is why I tell people, if you're not trained and if you don't know what you're doing and you're performing an exorcism on someone and they die, do you know that you can be held for involuntary manslaughter charges? I want people to hear that clear again. If you're performing an exorcism on someone and you're not trained and the T's aren't crossed, the I's aren't dotted, and they die during an exorcism, you can be charged with involuntary manslaughter. True story. In August of 2016 in North London, 26-year-old Kennedy Ife began acting strange and aggressive following a pain in his throat. He reportedly bit his father, threatened to cut off his own private part, and complained of a python or snake inside of him before his family restrained him to a bed with cable ties and excessive force. The BBC reported the family then set about attempting to cure Kennedy through restraint and prayer over the next 3 days, the court was told. His brother, Colin Ife, told the police, "It's clear this thing was in him. What we believed was a demon because it was not natural. It was clearly trying to kill him," he said. "We had to restrain him for himself. It was clear if we didn't restrain him, he could have tried to harm people in our family." So Kennedy Ife had been bound to his bed for 3 days without medical attention. Stupid. When his brother called emergency service explaining that Kennedy's Ife was complaining of dehydration, you think? He appeared to have developed breathing issues and was pronounced dead at 10:17 a.m. As the Independent reported, when police were at the house, Colin Ife allegedly carried out an attempted resurrection by chanting and praying for Mr. Ife. All 7 of Kennedy Ife's family members were accused of manslaughter. Good. False imprisonment and causing or allowing the death of vulnerable adult. A post-mortem examination revealed over 60 wounds, including a possible bite on Kennedy Ife's body, and his father, Kenneth Ife, along with 4 of his brothers, sustained injuries as well. The BBC reported Kenneth Ife told jurors he ordered his sons to take shifts and use, quote, overwhelming force, but denied that an association with cults, occults, and secret societies played any part in the death. After a 4-day jury deliberation, believe it or not, all 7 family members were cleared of charges on March 14th, 2019. No, Ben, let's not, Ben. Now, we're not going to be disrespectful, okay? And yes, there have been actually charges that have been brought against someone. There was actually people who, because this individual was homosexual, that this church decided it would be a good idea to beat the hell out of him and actually cause cardiac arrest. So yeah, Ben, things like this, I think involuntary manslaughter absolutely is warranted. So let's not be rude. All right. Yeah, I mean, look, you can believe in demons all you want. I'm not here to look. Let me make this clear to everybody. I'm not here to convince you that demons exist. I'm not here to do that. No. I'm not here to convince anybody that demons exist. I am here to help the families who know they do. And that's how I live my life. Cool. All right. We're good. Listen to this. Listen to this crazy one. Listen to this crazy one. This is insane. Dead animals in the walls. Dead animals in the walls. When the Brett Zeus family decided to insulate their home in Auburn, Pennsylvania in 2015, they discovered that it had already been, this is crazy, with scores of dead animal carcasses. Fox reported the dead animals were wrapped in newspapers from the 1930s and 40s, were among half-used spices and other items. After removing the items, they sent hundreds of artifacts and carcasses to an expert in Kutztown. Well, the expert attributed the rotting animals in their walls to powwow, or Dutch magic, a ritual originating in the culture of Pennsylvania Dutch to treat ailments and gain physical and spiritual protection. The Pennsylvania Dutch were a group of German-speaking settlers to Pennsylvania in 1700s and are often of Lutheran, Mennonite, or Amish faiths. The Washington Post notes on the magic. Many of the spells deal with the care of livestock, finding water, or the treatment of minor ailments, reflecting the conditions and concerns of early American settlers. But powwow also has with it a tradition of darker spells, and even of such thing as conjuring demons. One notable ritual in their tradition is the hex, to create loyalty in a dog. So to attach a dog to a person, providing nothing else, was used before to affect it. So try to draw some of your blood, this is what they did, and let the dog eat it along with his food, and they believe that he'll stay with you. The mold found on the rotting carcasses in the Brett Zeus home has caused illnesses among the family members, and they say that the odor hasn't gone away. This is crazy. This is crazy. Samantha, I don't subscribe. I know that TikTok is doing something about a subscriber thing. I have no idea. I don't know what that means. So apparently TikTok is doing some type of subscription deal where creators can create a subscription something. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But apparently that's what they're doing. But listen to this. Here's another story, and then in about 10 minutes, I'll get your questions. For some reason, they're doing that, and I didn't even set it up. Well, hello there, Scotland, and hello to all you guys. I pay a monthly fee for what? Oh, no, I'm not doing that. No. I'm not going to do. I am not going to set up a subscription thing to make people pay to hear me talk about demonology. I'm just no. Oh, thank you very much, Melissa. So we're good to go, and I won't be doing that. And I don't have a problem. It asked me to pay a monthly fee too, but I don't even have a subscriber or a subscription. So I don't even know what that means. I wouldn't even know how to set it up, and I don't want to set it up. No, I'm not gonna set that up. That's too much. Okay, listen to this. Florida devil worshiping. So friends noticed that Danielle Harkins, a 35-year-old school teacher near St. Petersburg, Florida, started acting strangely in June of 2012, developing an interest in demonic rituals. Soon after, she was arrested for abuse of 7 of her former students, as the Tampa Bay Times reported. Danielle Harkins told the kids they needed to rid their bodies of demons. As a group gathered before dusk Saturday around a small fire near the St. Petersburg pier, they should cut their skin, she says, to let the evil spirits out. Police said she told the children. Then they needed to burn the wounds to ensure that those spirits would not return. When Harkins held a lighter to one teen's hand, wind blew the flame out, police said. That prompted her to douse his hand in perfume before setting it on fire. The boy suffered second-degree burns. Another teen was cut on the neck with a broken bottle, police said. Harkins used a flame to heat a small key. She then used to cauterize the wound. The police were notified because a friend of one of the students who had participated in the ritual raised alarms. However, none of the students themselves told their parents about the event or would comment following the arrest of Harkins for aggravating battery and child abuse. NBC reported, by the way, investigators said that they have spoken to Harkins, but she didn't spell out what type of religion would require such drastic measures. Quote, she hasn't informed us exactly what she was trying to accomplish with this, the police department said. And again, you can check this out. Again, her name is Danielle Harkins. Danielle Harkins, if you guys want to Google that. These are all true stories. Good grief. There's a lot of people being blocked on TikTok. I'm not. Let me just say this very quickly. Excuse me, and I'm sorry you guys have to. Folks, if you're on TikTok and if you're going to troll, you're wasting your time. I won't even pay attention. I'm not even going to pay attention to trolling comments. This is the only time that you're going to get my attention. You will no longer get my. I no longer care about the trolls and all that stuff. I'm not going to allow you to disrupt our time that we have together. Those days are gone. They're gone. So the moderators are going to take care and block you and remove anybody who's going to be a troll. You're wasting your time. If you have nothing better, oh boy, look at the numbers dropped when I said that. If you have nothing better to do on a Friday night than to troll, then my advice to you is you probably should seek out some type of counseling on how you can I guess find friends, find something to do that would be beneficial to society. So again, I will not pay attention. Okay, that's the only thing that I'm going to say. Okay, the death of Elisa Lam. Listen to this. True story. Elisa Lam was last seen on January 31st, 2013 in the lobby of the Cecil Hotel in downtown LA. She was vacationing through the West Coast, documenting the trip on her blog and checking in with her parents every day. Well, on January 31st, those calls stopped and Lam had vanished. Soon the police were involved and her parents arrived to help with the search. They had nothing. Well, that February, LAPD released elevator surveillance footage of Lam before her disappearance. The footage shows Lam behaving strangely in the elevator. I've seen this before. I've seen this video before. She was acting strangely in the elevator, appearing to talk with invisible people, peering around the corner of the door, crouching in the corner, and opening and closing the door. But what exactly is going on in the video raises more questions than answers. Theories range from a psychotic episode to demonic possession to unknown assailants just outside of the camera's view. Now, around that time, the hotel guests started reporting weird things happening with the Cecil Hotel water supply. CNN reported the shower was awful, said Sabina Bao, who spent 8 days there during the investigation. When you turned the tap on, the water was coming black first for 2 seconds, and then it was going back to normal. The tap water tasted horrible. She said it was very funny, sweety, disgusting taste. It tasted very strange. I can barely describe it. But for a week, they never complained. We never thought anything of it, she said. We thought it was just the way it was here. So on the morning of February 19th, a hotel employee climbed to the roof and used a ladder to investigate the hotel's water storage tanks. And that's where authorities found the decomposing naked body of Lam, whose personal items were found nearby. After an autopsy, her death was labeled accidental. NBC Los Angeles reported at the time about the strange circumstances in the hotel's past. Can you imagine? So the tank has a metal latch that can be opened, but authorities said access to the roof is secured with an alarm and lock. The single-room occupancy hotel has an unusual history. Night stalker Richard Ramirez, who was found guilty of 14 slayings in the 1980s, lived on the 14th floor for several months in 1985. And international serial killer Jack Unterweger is suspected of murdering 3 prostitutes during the time he lived there in 1991. He killed himself in jail in 1994. In 1962, a female occupant jumped out of one of the hotel's windows, killing herself, and a pedestrian on whom she landed. So on February 2021, a Netflix documentary called Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, explored Elisa's tragic case and the history of the cursed Cecil Hotel. You know, here's what I find very confusing. A lot of people, and I don't know why, they see Richard Ramirez as some mythical, just unexplained, one of those people that's like, some people even worship the man. They think so highly of this guy. Richard Ramirez was a dirty, rotten, low-life, egg-sucking dog. He was nothing to be looked up to. He was nothing to be respected. He preyed on people when they were vulnerable, when they were sleeping. This is somebody that no one should idolize, ever. Just because he walked around and talking about darkness and, oh man, I'm dark. Oh, shut up. You're nothing. He was nothing special. There was nothing special about Richard Ramirez. The only thing that Richard Ramirez was a coward. He was a plain coward. Anybody who attacks people who are completely innocent, preys on people, tries to frighten people, and then in the courtroom and well, shut up. You're nothing. Of course, he's dead now. He's nothing to be idolized. And you're right, Daniel. He was a sick coward. He was a coward. So listen to this one, and then we're going to get into your questions. An exorcism in Indianapolis. So for those of you who want to know this, Indianapolis Star published a lengthy report on a family terrorized by 3 children allegedly possessed by demons. So the account of Latoya Ammons and her family tells disturbing stories of children climbing up the walls, getting thrown across rooms, children threatening doctors, and deep, unnatural voices. It would seem like something straight out of a movie, a work of fantasy, except all of these accounts were more or less corroborated with nearly 800 pages of official records obtained by the Indianapolis Star and recounted in more than a dozen interviews with police, DCS personnel, psychologists, family members, and a Catholic priest. Now, one of the more chilling sections of the report includes a segment about the possessed 9-year-old. According to Washington's original DCS report, an account corroborated by Walker, the nurse, the 9-year-old had a weird grin and walked backward up a wall to the ceiling. He then flipped over Campbell, landing on his feet. He never let go of his grandmother's hand. Now, another segment of the piece reads, the 12-year-old would later tell mental health professionals that she sometimes felt as if she were being choked and held down so she couldn't speak or move. She said she heard a voice say she'd never seen her family again and wouldn't live another 20 minutes. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. That's it's one of those things that's I don't know. When you hear these things, it's kind of thinking, boy, that's it's debatable, isn't it? Okay, so people are asking all about the documentary and the Demon House and why would Zach buy it, folks? He bought it for $35,000, and you got to understand he's an executive producer and owner of Ghost Adventures. So, as the executive producer, you try to save as much money as you possibly can, and it was actually a smart business deal, very smart. Whether you like Zach or not, he's a great businessman. He knows how to run a business, because he paid it for $35,000, and then he got a documentary out of it. And on top of that, then you have 24/7 use of this house. You know, you go to a haunted location and you have 24/7 use of that location, you're going to be spending thousands upon thousands of dollars. That's not going to be cheap. That is not a cheap thing at all. So you pay $35,000. Now you own the set. You own the entire set. And you can be there as long or as little as you want. So you got to understand, well, they did. They tore it down, but you got to understand, it was also a smart business move. And when you're going to a location and you have the opportunity to have a location and you can stay there for as long as you want to stay, well, $35,000 actually is not a lot of money when you're actually filming and you're on set and you have full control night and day, 24/7. That's actually a very smart business deal. So to me, when people ask me about that, why would he do that? Well, he's a businessman. He's an executive producer. So, I mean, it was a business decision, and it was a smart business decision. Again, the money he made off the documentary, and certainly the money he made off the show, the airing the show, the money he made the $35,000 back and more, right? So, there we go. All right, so let's get into some of your questions, and then we can kind of go from there. I do have some really, really cool. By the way, I do want to talk about some articles that I read. This one was, do paranormal beliefs indicate poor mental health? So I want to present that. And so 5 of the scariest science experiments of all time also are ghost real. The psychology and quantum physics of the paranormal explained. So I've got some really, really very, very cool articles that I want to share with you. Well, people talk about, all right, let me just say this. You do not perform an exorcism on a house, on a building. That's absurd. That doesn't exist. You bless the home or building. You perform the exorcism on a demonic or malevolent spirit that has infested itself within the building. All right, so you bless the home. And the exorcism is performed on whatever entity is there. Okay. So there we go. All right. I did know Lorraine. Lorraine was a very, very sweet woman. Very sweet woman. Okay. So levitation. I would have to say in the case that there was a form of levitation where the body, and I've talked about this before, where the body was in a V shape like this. So the torso was up here, the head was here, and the feet were down here. And it was like this. It was almost as if like someone had taken a string and then pulled the torso up. It was like, this is what it was, just like this. Happened just like that. I mean, it was a V shape. Absolutely unnatural, totally unnatural for anything like that to have occurred. I mean, anything. And that was, you read about it, but when you see the body contort very unnaturally, you see the eyes dilate and then solid black, and the facial expressions, the contortions in the face. You know, you can read about it all day long, but when you actually experience it, it's a different world. This is my bishop ring. And this is Jesus. So this is my Mensa lapel pin, lifetime membership, and this is my Benedict, Saint Benedict. I'm a Benedictine. Normally I'd be wearing a habit, but people were saying, "What are you doing with a habit on?" So it's just very confusing. And of course, this is a cross. So there we go. Oh, sure. Yeah. You before you perform an exorcism, you have to, we go through the sacrament of reconciliation. So yes, we do. Well, Yardley, I don't know. I haven't had the opportunity to really look at the Facebook messengers yet. It might take me a day or so because I've been up since 5 a.m. and I have been going nonstop with ministry. So I wish I would love to have the opportunity to be able to, just have a day off. But the thing is I'm a chaplain for a hospital. I volunteer, and a lot of chaplains have quit because of COVID, and because they are they're afraid of catching COVID, and many are elderly, and so right now the hospitals are desperate for chaplains, and so I do a lot, and my day starts at 5 a.m. And I usually, Mr. Producer is behind the scenes. I'm usually sitting right down right before the show. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I don't think so. I'll have to check that out. But I promise you, I'll check it out. All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. Yeah. Well, no, I don't do the mass. I don't do high mass, the Latin mass. I know, so I wouldn't say I'm fluent in Latin. I know the prayers in Latin for the exorcism, but I don't. I do mass in English. So, but good. I mean, I love the Latin mass. Well, bless you right back. You know what, John? Here's a question. Oh, you are, Marco. That's fantastic. Yeah, it was about, gosh, maybe 10 years ago, I think. That's when I joined, I think 10 years ago. What was the question? Yeah, the Matt is beautiful. You know what, the aliens and demons, I don't believe and this is just my personal belief, because we haven't proven with conclusive evidence that aliens exist. However, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. There's far too many people who are very, very credible, who have said, they've had these experiences. We have far too much evidence now that there's something there. There's something there. So, but I don't necessarily think that I don't think they're demonic. I mean, I truly believe they are other beings. But here's the problem. Any creature, I don't care what it is, whether it be aliens or not, anything that violates your free will is violating God's gift to us. And for those of you who are offering gifts on TikTok, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's very, very kind. Thank you. And I want to remind everybody, please do not forget, I still have the St. Michael necklaces. So if you want yours, you can go to bishopjameslong, LONG.com, and click on the store link and just kind of scroll down and you can get yours. And I'll send that out to you. I'll bless that for you for free. No, I'd never charge. You can't ever, no one should ever charge to bless anything for you. That's simony. But I'll be more than happy to do that. You're right. And even Oscar mentioned that the Vatican even said that it is plausible that alien life exists. And I certainly believe that. River, what's the scariest, the most paranormal thing you've ever witnessed? Well, and I've talked about this many, many times. The thing is when it comes to demonology and possession, I understand these are parlor tricks of the demonic. So the vocalizations, the contortion of the body, the eyes solid black, the markings appearing on the body. Those are parlor tricks to try to make you stop the exorcism. But there is no such. You just keep going. It's a repetitive prayer. It's a repetition. You don't stop, and you don't have a conversation with the demonic. There's no such thing as having a conversation with the demon during an exorcism. There's no such thing. The rite does not call for a conversation. You command its name and when it's going to leave. That's as far as in a conversation you're going to get. But I've always said probably the one thing that has bothered me, because I can't put a label on it, I can't define it, was the experience of the Gates of Hell Cemetery. I don't know. I don't know what I saw. I can't define what I saw. And, I performed 30 exorcisms that's been documented by psychiatrists, by medical professionals that are there with me, monitoring the vitals of the possessed. That's one thing. I can define that. But this thing that I saw at the Gates of Hell Cemetery, I can't define it. I don't know what it is. I don't know. So, I just don't know. My childhood basement dreams. Well, yeah, that was kind of interesting. I've talked about that before, and that was crazy. I was in my teenage years, and I liked the basement. So the basement was a finished basement, and because it was cool. I like it when I like it cold. I've never been a fan of the heat, so that's why I love the winter. I love the winter. More snow, more cold is great. And I remember when I was sleeping, in my sleep, I woke up. So I was not awake. I was dreaming. And I saw this thing lying on a cot next to my dresser drawer. And I walked over to this and I looked closely, and it was a person, and it had a white alb, gold sandals, and it had a crown of thorns. And his face, what looked, the skin, the face was like a shark color, grayish, whitish kind of color. And had a crown of thorns on, and it was bleeding. And I looked, and my first impression is, this is Jesus. And I knew, even since I was 5, I knew I wanted to be a priest. But I remember going, because he had his hands like this. And I remember reaching down to touch his hands. And he opened his eyes. Eyes were like a dark, bloodshot red. They weren't like a bright neon red. They were dark, bloody, bloodshot kind of red. And he raised up, and his exact words is, "What the hell are you looking at?" And so I knew, obviously, this was not Christ. So the very first thing that I thought was grab the crucifix. And my first communion crucifix was on the wall. And I immediately held it up to him. And he looked at me. About this, he was standing. He looked at me and kind of gave me a grin. And with his left hand, he took it and he crushed it. And his hand started bleeding a little, but the ashes, the crucifix turned into ashes, and they all fell to the ground. And he looked right at me, and with a smirk, and he said, "That's supposed to hurt me. I died on this stupid A thing." So I remember then running upstairs and telling my mom, and then immediately, it was just all of a sudden teleport. Our parish priest came down and started performing this prayer. I had no idea that it was at that time the solemn rite of exorcism. And this thing began to scream in pain and agony. And I don't like anything screaming in pain. I just don't like that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. It reached out to me. And the only thing that I remember, because I felt sympathy, even though I knew that this was something not good, but I felt sympathy because of the scream and because he was in pain. And I reached out to try to help him. And that's when I did wake up. Now, I was fully awake. This was not sleep paralysis because I could move. Because I couldn't breathe. So I sat up in the bed. I was trying to catch my breath. And I looked over to the right, and about 15 feet away where I was, I saw the full apparition of this thing. And this was, again, I was completely wide awake at this time. And he looked at me, grinned, and he was bleeding on the floor. And at that time, I can't remember if we had marble floor, if it was, I don't remember what kind of floor it was, but I think it was like either marble or something. I don't know. But anyway, my mom came down, down the stairs, and she noticed all this red stuff all over the floor, and she was not happy. because she had thought that I was working on something and I was using paint. And so she was not happy at all. So, you need to clean this up. And I was trying to explain to her what happened. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Just clean it up. She was not happy about this. It was not cheap. It was not a cheap flooring. And so I was trying to scrub it and scrub it and scrub it. It wouldn't come up. It was not going to come up. It would not. And the stains were quite visible. And they tried to clean it. It would not clean it. This was there was a fireplace, black, like the old wooden fireplaces. And it wouldn't clean. So they eventually had to put carpet. They could put carpet down. Because by the time they actually tore it all up, it was cheaper just to put carpet down. And and ever since then, my sister, she's in TikTok. Ever since then, that place was very, very, very haunted. That place was no joke. That was that was down in the basement was not a good place at all. At all. So yeah, it's it was it's the craziest. So there we go. Yeah, it was a red stain. It was on the marble floor. We couldn't get it. We could not get it. We tried, and we just could not get it. No matter what we did, and but we tried. I haven't done shows in Ghost Adventures since the Bobby Mackeys. But we'll make the announcement. I promise you, we'll make the announcement later. We'll make a promise. I'll promise you when we can, when we're allowed to. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what that. It's still there. I mean, it's still. I've had possession cases where the demonic said it was the devil, where the demonic said it was Lucifer, and that's just a form of scare tactic. That's a way to try to, again, these are all parlor tricks, and to try to frighten and try to stop the exorcism. So I've had that several times actually. Signs of demonic possession. Well, there's several. The person and in several of these, by the way, this is important to know. A lot of people think that just because you have these particular signs that you automatically are going to be, possessed, and that's not true at all. That the people have got to be very, very careful about just assuming, because some of these can be neurological conditions. So, like, for example, if you're catatonic, sometimes someone who is catatonic and there's no movement, it's almost, there's no blinking, that can also be a neurological condition. So a lot of people think, well, just because you have that, then you must be possessed, and that's not true at all. But people who have absolute extraordinary strength, aversion to religious objects, and it sometimes smells like Annalise McKell. She would complain about a really foul odor that would be emitting from her, and it was repulsive. She also would, eat bugs and consume her urine. So there are several types. A person who's possessed does not have the memory of being possessed. They do have a memory of what led up to possession, but they don't have the actual memory of the actual possessed state. And there's also, there's what's called a retrocognition and prognostication. So, for example, people say, well, how do you know it's demonic? Well, first of all, mental illness does not cause you to levitate. Mental illness does not cause you to mimic a voice of a deceased loved one. Mental illness will not allow you to scream multiple pitches at once. Mental illness will not give you the ability of retrocognition or prognostication. Retrocognition is the ability to tell you of your sins. And it's not because a demonic entity can read your mind. It's because under ordinary demonic activity, the demonic will influence, will tempt us. So if you have a weakness for lust, or if you have a weakness for whatever, drinking, gambling, whatever it might be, the demonic will amplify that and cause you to sin. So it knows the sins that you've committed because through ordinary demonic activity, you fall through temptation. Now, you still freely choose it, or you still freely choose not to. And so that's why. They can mimic crying or wailing women or a child. They can also mimic full body apparitions of a child. That has happened actually there was a particular case where and I've talked about this before, a mom had lost, I think she was a 4-year-old little boy, and he kicked the ball out in the street and he got hit by a car and he passed away. Well, what she had done previously is she had played with the Ouija board and done things that she shouldn't have done. And this was, when she was like a teenager, didn't think about it at all. Now she's a mom, and her son gets killed, tragically killed. And she was distraught. She obviously very, very distraught. But weird things were happening in the house. And then all of a sudden she becomes very happy, just ecstatic. And the family's thinking, okay, she's clearly having a breakdown. And she's, no, he's here. And so the family then found out about me, and they contacted me and asked me if I could come in and just at least investigate, find out if there's something going on. So we did. We investigated. We had growls, or we began to pray, and there was a really violent reaction to that. And she was on her child's bed, and she looked like she was holding something, like she was holding it like this, like you would a child. And she was just talking, just talking like she's talking to her son, and singing him his favorite lullaby. And so we didn't want to interrupt this, so we kind of creeped the door open and we snapped a couple pictures. I wish the family would let me release it, but they won't. There's a full body apparition of her son, full body. You can clearly see she is holding what she believes is her son. There are no eyes. And so I began doing the litany of saints. It then goes away, and all hell breaks loose in the house. And that was a tough case. That was a very tough case. So, but again, these demonic entities. That is what happens. They are parasites. They are cowards, and they prey when you're most vulnerable. They prey on you. So. Well, Kelsey, the Revelation talks about they will be thrown into the lake of sulfur. So that's what's well, I don't judge anybody and their faith. I know people who do speak in tongues. Gifts of the Holy Spirit it affects people differently. I'm not here to judge anybody who does speak in tongues. That's not my place. Nor do I do that. I just simply don't. Everybody is moved by the Spirit differently. Some people go to church and they love charismatic music. It really speaks to them, and they are just really filled with the Holy Spirit. That's great. Some people are filled with the Holy Spirit by going to a Latin Mass. That's great. Some people are filled with the Holy Spirit by walking, in the woods and being with nature and being with God. That's great. I think we have no business judging anybody and how they react to the Holy Spirit, and that's why I never pass. First of all, it's not my place to pass judgment on anybody. So there we go. Okay. No, I don't. Life is too difficult. We have no look. You know what? We don't need to be judging. Okay, psychic mediums, folks. You have to be. Listen to me. I've said this on record. I know people who are psychic mediums, and I know people who are absolutely, truly gifted. I mean, absolutely gifted. I know people who've helped the police find missing persons. I know a lot of people will go to a psychic medium because they want to speak to their loved one. And I understand. I do understand the temptation with that. I get it. I think we all do. We all can relate to that. We all probably have lost somebody that we love, and we just want, one more minute with them, just one more moment. But you have to understand that I think there are, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to be offensive, but I think there are a lot of people who are claiming to be psychic medium, who are as psychic as my doorknob. And there are a lot of people who take advantage of people's emotional trauma, and that's not a gifted person. And I really have no respect for people like that at all. People who take advantage of people's suffering and grief. That's wrong. That's just wrong. I get that you want to have that last moment with your loved one. I understand that. But here's the secret. You don't need to go to a psychic medium to be able to connect to your loved one. And what I tell people that, first of all, our relationships with people who have passed on, we no longer have the physical relationship because obviously their bodies have died. But the spiritual relationship still remains. So that it doesn't go away. That relationship does not stop. It continues. And so my mom, who passed away, she passed away, and it was a hard loss for the entire family. But I know that my mom is still present with me. I know this. I know this because I had a near-death experience. I flatlined in 2015, and I saw her, clearly saw her. Without question, I saw my mom. And it wasn't a dream because you can't dream under propofol. There's no such thing. It's a 0% chance. And that's according to the medical doctor that I spoke to. But don't overlook those signs, right? Don't overlook the signs. Sometimes I know my mom is there. Sometimes she will, send a butterfly. And, or sometimes one of my siblings will call, or I'll remember a thought, but you got to understand something. If you've done anything in the past that maybe you shouldn't have done, like playing with Ouija boards or getting involved in black magic or any of that stuff, folks, that is an invitation that you gave. And here's what you need to understand. And I want you to listen to this carefully. Demonic entities are very patient. Remember what you did when you were a teenager, and now let's say it's 20 years later. Remember, they exist outside of time and space. So they have not waited for 20 years. It's that. Do you understand? They don't exist inside time and space. We do. So it's 20 years for us, but it's a blink of an eye to them. So they wait until the best opportune moment when you're lonely and you're depressed, you're missing your loved one, and then you go out and you start doing things that you shouldn't do. And that's the invitation that it needs. So just be very, very cautious about that. When I want to talk to my mom, I talk to her. Just like I'm talking to you. It's in prayer. In prayer. Just like I talk to Christ. Just like I talk to Mary. Just like I talk to the saints above in heaven. It is prayer. And I bring my concerns, my fears, whatever it is that I need to bring to my mom, I bring it to her in prayer. And then I remain quiet. I don't expect an answer immediately or tomorrow or the next day, but I wait, and it always happens. That is your notification that they're there with you. Okay? So, yeah, prayer. I'm telling you, prayer, folks, prayer, I promise you, prayer works. I promise you. But you cannot go to prayer, like I said, you can't go to God and say, okay, God, this is what I need, and this is what I want, this, because you're not really praying to God, you're dictating to him. That's not prayer. That's dictation. So you can't go to God and say, okay, God, I'm having all this money problems, so now what you need to do is let me win the lottery. Well, now you're just going to God, telling him what you do. So you're not praying, you're dictating. So when we say thy will be done in the Our Father, you got to mean it. So, okay, Heavenly Father, I'm having major financial problems right now, and I need your help. I need your help. I will be obedient to you, and whatever answer you give me, I will be obedient and be grateful for it. And then that's it. You don't go there and say, I need prayers, and this is how you're going to do it. That's not prayer. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's the intent. Natalie, it's the intent. So if you actively participated, that's where the danger lies. But if you did not actively participate, that you were not an active participant, that's different, because the intent has to be there. Okay, the intent has to be there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So Sharon said she doesn't use any of those things. That's great. Aunt Kay, how do you undo that invitation from your childhood? All right. First of all, let me just say this, and this is the data that I can give you from what I've studied. So you take this information. Some people don't like it, but because I studied in the Roman seminary. So my education, my training comes from obviously a lot of the materials that I read in the seminary and all the documentation, everything that I read. I can tell you this: within the Roman Catholic Church, and I'm not saying that the Roman Catholic Church is the all in begin all. I'm not saying that, but I'm just giving you their data. Within the Roman Catholic Church, there has never been anyone possessed under the age of reason. They define the age of reason as 12. So take that as that's data you can run with and take it. Okay, now, so if you were a child, but you really had no idea what you were doing, that's different. You have to have the intent. You have to, in order for something to be, and this is Roman Catholic catechism, if you want to know. People always ask me, what is sin? Well, sin in the Roman Catholic Church, and the catechism says that sin is an evil act that is committed freely, in which you should not do, and you still commit the act. It must be freely done. That is when you've committed a sin. Now, for example, if someone forces you to do something that you ordinarily would not do by force, someone threatens your life or whatever it might be, then your freedom is being violated. And you're not doing it freely. But in order for a sin to be committed, you must know that the act is evil, and you must still freely commit that act. So a child under the age of reason would not have known that. So therefore, if you're talking 6, 7 years, 8 years old, that's not. In that case, it wouldn't be that. It would not be something you need to be overly concerned about because you were not at the age of reason. And again, for those of you who don't like it, or again, just then go to the Roman Catholic Catechism. It's there. It's all written there. I've studied it. I know what the Catechism says. So just there you go. Okay, stigmata. Lynn, let me just make this very clear. Okay. All right, Christy, hold on. Stigmata is not a curse. I want to make that abundantly clear. Never, never, ever, never, ever in the Roman Catholic Church history where there was a legitimate case of stigmata was it seen as a curse. Never, not once. Stigmata happens to individuals who are very pious, very devoted to their faith. And it is those individuals, very, very pious, who actually have the stigmata. They do not see it as a curse. They see it as a blessing in which they are willing to bestow Christ. For those of you who don't know stigmata is the wounds that Christ endured on the during the crucifixion. So no, in this case, a lot of times people will say, well, the stigmata is, the movie. I know I'm very aware of the movie Stigmata, but stigmata is not seen as a curse at all. At all. So no. Okay. Someone asked me about people who commit suicide. The cookie cutter answer in the Christian church is that the cookie cutter answer, which I don't believe in, is that those people who commit suicide are burning in the fiery pits of hell. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. Let me say, first of all, I don't condone suicide. I think no one should do that. That is a permanent answer. That's a permanent answer for a temporary problem. And so that's never a solution. Okay, that's never a solution. But let me just say this very clearly, and this is what I believe, and this is what I was taught, even in the Roman seminary, and I believe this with all my heart. An individual who commits suicide is not thinking rationally. They are thinking irrationally. And in some cases, they actually believe that their suicide would even benefit their family for whatever reason. Again, it's an irrational thought. I do not believe that a God that loves us unconditionally would punish his children who may be at a time of a psychotic episode mentally where they're thinking irrationally and they commit such an act. I do not believe that a loving God that we have would punish them in the fiery pits of hell for eternity. I don't believe that. And this is my belief. And I don't believe that. So, Chrissy, your husband, Chrissy has asked a question here on YouTube. My husband had suicide. He had suicide when she was pregnant with our youngest child, and we had 2, 8 and 5 at the time. So, Chrissy, I want to know, what is your husband's first name? There's a little bit of delay, so I ask that you indulge me for a moment. So, Christy, if you could just let us know what your husband's first name is. Tim. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Heavenly Father, we beseech you and beg you to forgive the sins of Tim. We ask that his guardian angels protect him and intercede on his behalf. You forgive all of his sins. You welcome him into the eternal home in which we all strive and hope for. We pray that Christy and her family may one day be reunited with Tim in the heavenly banquet. And we pray, may the perpetual light of Jesus shine upon him and grant him eternal rest. Amen. Okay. So, well, I think they certainly, demonic entities are cowards. Demonic entities are unbelievable cowards. And but here's what I want people to remember, and just don't ever forget. We can't, and I've said this, we cannot put demons here and God here. We can't do that. We got to stop that. We have to stop that as a culture, as a society. We have to stop that. And because remember, it is demonic entities who are the created, not the creator. So it is time that we stop elevating demons and decreasing God. I've told people this many, many times. You're very welcome, Christy. I've told people this before. The moment you begin to pray is the moment demons tremble in fear. And that is something you must know. But sometimes the demonic entities will try to pipe in your ear, oh, you're wasting your time. And then you begin, maybe there's nothing there, maybe there is no God, maybe there is that's exactly what the demonic wants you to think. Because the demonic doesn't want you to pray. But the demonic doesn't want you to call on God. The demonic does not want you to call upon Saint Michael. But you do. You do. So as the old saying goes, when you're bowing your head and the devil thinks he's got you beat until you raise your head and you say amen. And now the devil says, oh, that's not good. That's not good. So remember that you are created in the image of God. You are. And when you call upon the Creator, when you call upon the saints and above and the angels above, you need to know that you've already won. You've already won. So don't, I will not, and I tell people this all the time. This is my mantra. I will not be your victim. So I refer to when I'm talking about your victim, demonic entities. I will not be your victim. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to be your victim. All hell breaks loose in my life. Car breaks down, this breaks down, that breaks down, that breaks down. I could easily say, oh, it's the demons. It's the demons. What am I going to do? Woe's me. I could go there and then be the victim. Or I could say, not today, Satan. Nope, not today. Not going to happen. Not today. And that's what you have to do. You do not be its victim. Do not. Because that's exactly what the demonic wants you to think, that you are a victim. Don't allow it. Oh, yeah, Raphael. I mean, there's several. I mean, there are several big archangels that you can actually call upon. Obviously, Michael, the archangel, is the one that we call upon for battling evil. But we see Scripture talks about several archangels. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. User 14091423. People ask me the scariest exorcism. I certainly would say the first. The first is always, because like I said, you read, you study, but then when you actually see it, for the first time, you see the eyes. I see. the eyes going solid black, and the facial contortion and a V shape. I mean, elevating, levitating to the point where the body's in a V shape. And you can, the back, you can hear it crack. And the temperature change in the room, dramatic temperature changes. All those things are to throw you off, to frighten you, to make you stop. And you can read about it and read about it and read about it and study it and study it. But until you actually are in the presence of a demonic, that is one of the things. So yeah, I've performed 30 exorcisms on individuals who are validly possessed. So it's been a very, very interesting ministry. Very interesting ministry. And but we'll have to talk about those one day, I think. Okay. Oh, Gabriel. I love Gabriel. I love Gabriel. A lot of people don't know a lot about the other archangels. Maybe what we could do is talk about angels on this Sunday for Bible study. That would be good. That would maybe talk a little bit more about the archangel. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the gifts on TikTok. Maybe that's what we'll do for this Wednesday, this Sunday. I'm going to be on live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will have Bible study. And maybe this Sunday we'll talk about the archangels. And but yeah, that's but he's a messenger. He's a herald of visions. He's the God's messenger. So it's certainly is a beautiful angel that many people overlook. And so I think those are what I think we can talk about. I think that'll be good. Yeah, the archangels. Yeah, we'll do that. Archangels, and we'll talk about the archangels, and we'll go from there. So keep in mind. Let me just remind you. Well, the sulfur smell is because Revelation talks about that they will be thrown into the lake of sulfur, and that's why James Bunk, is it what? That's why, because Revelation talks about that. Oh, Thomas Aquinas. I love Thomas Aquinas. So the Summa Theologica. I mean, my goodness. We studied that extensively in the Roman seminary when I was at Loyola University in Chicago. I mean, the Summa, if you've never read the Summa, and as a matter of fact, Thomas Aquinas has a section on demons. Thomas Aquinas was a brilliant thinker. One of the doctors of the church. I mean, just an absolute brilliant thinker. And I would strongly, it's heavy. It's heavy reading, but it is. It's one of my. I have several books on the Summa, and it's one of the best. One of the best. Well, thank you very much. You're very welcome. So yeah, I have. I will do. The archangels. Let me remind you, because I was going to say this and I forgot. Remember, friends, we all have our guardian angels. Every one of us. But I've said this before, and some of you may be just tuning in just for the first time. Please understand that your guardian angel. Now, listen to this whole thing first before you kind of go off on a. People go off on a tangent because they don't listen to the whole thing first. So. Remember, thank you very much, Mr. Producer. We have 5 minutes. Your guardian angels cannot, and they will not, ever intercede on your behalf until you give them permission to. They will not violate your free will. Because if they intercede on your behalf without your free will, that is a violation of your free will. And that is a universal gift that God gives us. God does not violate our own free will. Meaning that God doesn't force you to believe in him. God allows us to either believe or not believe. So that is a gift. That is unconditional love that he gives to his creation. Your guardian angel cannot, and they will not intercede unless you give them permission to do so. So, and it'd be very simple. It's the intent. It's not, you don't have to have exact words. My guardian angel, angels, whoever you may be, I give you permission to intercede on my behalf to help me deal with X, Y, and Z, whatever you're dealing with, and watch miracles happen. But you can't, they will not intercede unless you give them permission to. They will not violate your free will. So, all right, make sure you give them permission. That's very, very important to do. Your guardian, not gardening angels, guardian. The gardening, you're not guard. They're not going to garden for you. Guarding. All right. For those of you who are on Spreaker, I'm going to say good night to you guys, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Let me remind everybody that we have night prayer Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us on night prayer. It is Spreaker, Spreaker.com/show/night prayer. Night prayer is all one word. And that's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that will be there tonight. Again, Spreaker.com/show/night prayer. All of you are invited. You don't have to be Catholic. Everybody is invited. We'd love to have you. We do pray the Psalms during night prayer. Not gardening. My friends, might be my Kentucky accent. My friends, I tell you this all the time, and I want you to remember, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. Remember, you're priceless. Never let anybody convince you otherwise. You know, if you could see yourself through the eyes of God, then you will know that what Bishop Long just said is 100% truth. God bless. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.